And what makes a good audition is a person who comes in and gets to work. It's in their eyes,
Right.
it's in their stillness. It's in their ability to not say the lines, but to say everything in between it. To get every line fucking wrong, but get every intention right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the only channel dedicated to perfecting the art of the audition process. I am your host, writer-actor Derek Ray Seifert, and I have a mission to invite really good actors to come and self-tape with me so they can not only share with you their tips, tricks, and secrets, they can show them to you as well. Today's episode features an actor with nearly 3 decades of experience. He's a producer, he's a director, he's one hell of an actor. You might recognize him from some of his older work, shows like Southland or True Blood. You might recognize him from some of his more recent work, shows like the Fox Netflix series Lucifer or his current show, CBS Fire Country. Whether you recognize him or not, trust me when I say we are incredibly lucky to have Kevin Alejandro join us on the first ever episode of The Audition is the Job. Now, I have written a 3-page scene, complete with a storyline and character breakdown that I posted in the description below. I welcome you to follow along. I sent the same material to Kevin. Kevin prepared it like he would any other audition, shot it, chose the best take, sent it back to me. We are going to watch it together, and then we're going to have Kevin on to ask him all sorts of annoying questions. So, without further ado, let's roll the tape.
So where'd you grow up?
Really? That's what you want to ask me?
Okay, what happened to your arm?
Dog bite. I was on the NARC task force. Running a canine for a probable cause warrant. And it turns out that the suspect had a dog himself. Let him loose.
Oh shit. It just attacked you?
Cruiser. His name of our canine officer. Cruiser. Fucking love that dog. So of course I jumped in. And they gave me a medal, gave me 2 months PTO, and now here I am. With you.
Where'd you grow up?
Van Nuys. You?
Diamond Bar.
You one of those college grads?
I am. I have a bachelor degree in criminology.
Criminology, huh? And you chose to be a cop? They taught your generation to hate the police.
I wanted to practice law, but I already have a mountain of debt, and interest rates on student loans aren't going down anytime soon.
That's true. All right, so you went through the police academy, you did 4 years of criminology. After you did all that, what's your, how do I say that to sound like a smart guy? What's your general view of police work?
I think that people are a product of their environment. Crime is a very complex phenomenon, and although application of the law is necessary, I feel that people deserve compassion and understanding. What?
Nothing.
What?
It's just that you're the third boot I've had this week. The third. And I had high hopes for you. But now I'm not so sure.
What about what I said was untrue?
It's not about what you said being untrue, it's irrelevant. Look, out here, you gotta treat everyone that you encounter like they're fucking wolves. Wolves, you understand that? You gotta let the judges, you gotta let the lawyers decide whether or not their circumstances warrant mercy or...
You see, that's where things need to change. Comparing human beings to animals. People just...
Stop! Do you want this job?
Yes, but
No, do you want the job? Because you have to fucking want it.
Yes, sir.
Then you listen to me. And you listen to me real good. they have the capacity to commit the most gruesome, violent, terrible crimes that not even your little imagination can ever even dream of. And it's not something that you're going to be able to read about in one of your classrooms. You're going to see it. And when you see it, you're going to have to confront it. And sometimes with an equal amount of violence. And with a whole lot of indifference. Because if you don't, you're going to get both of us killed. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Good.
All units in the vicinity of Crenshaw and Century be advised to report of an armed robbery. Suspects are two Hispanic males, approximately 6 feet, wearing all black, fleeing westbound in a black SUV.
Dispatch, show Unit 55 responding. Wolves.
Okay. So you're in Los Angeles now?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles now. I've been back in Canada actually for the last month already. I think we started shooting Fire Country again, which is a show that I'm on. It's on CBS, and we're actually going to start premiering on Netflix as of August 1st.
Well, there you have it. If you haven't seen Fire Country, you'll be able to go on Netflix, catch up in like 1 or 2 days, and then you can tune in live on CBS. Okay, so we'll dive into some questions about your tape and about your audition process in general. So first things first, you get the call. You get the email, you got the audition. What's the first thing Kevin does?
I figure out who's involved with the project. And then I start just doing research on the people involved, i.e. like producers, directors, other actors. And I find that doing that kind of research already helps give me a sense of whatever tone, because those people generally make similar films, like in the same genre. So I start to know what kind of tone that is. And then once I start, having more questions about it, I'll call my team and usually ask for a conversation with casting, so that so I can hear from their mouths, kind of what the vibe is that they're looking for within that audition. I can't always get casting on the phone, and I haven't always been able to do that, but I have always been able to ask for feedback so that my team can get that information and give it back to me.
Okay, so you do your research and then memorization. Do you like to get completely memorized, or do you like to just become familiar and let the story and listening kind of hand you your words, or how do you do it?
Yes, when it comes to the audition, I do like to be fully memorized. But that's my own thing, because I don't feel that I personally can't be free enough to walk the way this person walks, to talk the way this person talks, or to feel these emotions unless I'm completely off of book and out of my head, right? And the way I do that, there's no trick to it other than, actually, honestly, the first thing I do is I figure out how the person walks. And so my wife will attest to this. She'll see me walking around the house in a different walk, being like, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing that? Like, I'm busy, I'm working. So I figure out how he walks, how they walk. And that automatically puts me into sort of like a physicality. And then everything, and the whole time I'm also just kind of walking around saying my favorite parts of his dialogue out loud, like the most complicated or the most intriguing Jimmy. Real quick, I have a funny funny to me story that I was talking about methods, right? I did go method once. I was auditioning for a homeless person.
I remember.
Yeah, I was auditioning for a homeless person. I think it was for like
it was for The Purge, right?
For the purge, thank you. Yeah. And I did. I turned into that person who put together the perfect, like, uh sleep outside overnight, warm clothes. I got real dirty, real stinky, and I really did. I went through that process of like sleeping in the alley, and but it was like something that I felt like I wanted to do, like I needed to do to get that person. You set them apart, right? Auditioning is the job. It's the name, is what you're saying. And that is absolutely it. And it's different from acting. It's different from what you're doing. There's a whole different kind of technique to win a job that's going to be completely different from the way you maintain that job and the way you trigger. What I loved about going into the room, I'm still trying to figure out the self-tape of it all, right? I'm still what I loved about the room was going in, making strong choices, always being off book, so that I was clear-headed enough that I could take direction. And the very first thing that I would do when I come into a room was let them know that I was there to work and to be worked with, and not to let them know that I came in and I'm about to present you an amazing audition that I've put together and made all these choices, that now here's my performance. It was never about my performance. It was always about my ability to listen and react. So the first thing I would say is like, hey, my name is so-and-so. Nice to meet you guys. I've made some choices, but I'm here to be directed. So I would really, let me get all this out of my skin for this first take, and then let's play. Once I stopped being so needy, I guess is the word, I think I carried an energy of, man, I really need this job. And I did. I think we all do at that point in our careers. I still need jobs. But once there's something that happened in my head where I was like, yeah, you do need this job, but what you need to do, what you really need, is a satisfaction of work. And so you're given, sometimes 4 auditions in a week. That's your work. So treat it like your work and go in and let them know that you've done your work, but there's so much more to be done. And now I need a partner to do it.
Have you ever done an audition, given the audition? It's great. You're great, Kevin, and you get the job. And then you show up on set and you rehearse or whatever, and you go and boom, first take. It's probably not your coverage, or maybe it is your coverage, and the director walks out and directs you in a completely different way than your audition was.
Yeah. But I have done that. And I got to tell you, when I was younger, I'll tell you this anecdote right now. I had booked a pilot one way, and when I booked the pilot, got to set, shot the pilot, and the director was like taking me in all these different ways that I didn't think about as a character. So I got super, super nervous and kind of insecure of like, well, fuck, man, you hired me this way, and now you're telling me to do this. I don't know what's right. I was like struggling within myself, but I was like, I'm going to try. And not that I couldn't do it, but I think I got so nervous and so insecure that I felt like I couldn't do it. And I think that resonated within my performance, and I got fired.
You got fired.
And I got fired. The pilot got picked up, I got fired, and they replaced me. Because I think I just self-sabotaged myself. I let my own fear and my own insecurity sort of get in my own way. But I was green. I was new, that was like the first thing I'd booked, and was like, when it came at that level of something, and was I also came from the theater, right? So spontaneous things happen in the moment when you're on stage according to your audience, but you rehearse and you rehearse and you rehearse and you rehearse and you rehearse.
Yeah.
find things that work, and when they don't work, then that doesn't work, and you have time to do that. And I think I had worked so much into that one little world that I did not leave myself an opportunity to grow outside of the choices that I'd made. So like where I'm at today, it took failures like that to get me to understand, like, bro, you just gotta breathe, do some things, make some choices so that you're free enough to go on a ride with someone.
Do you ever find yourself stuck in a loop, trying to service the dialogue, putting up take after take that are exactly the same? And then if you do, what are some tricks that you do to pull yourself out of that and just and do something different?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And absolutely, of course, I do find myself in a repetitive loop, making the same choices, trying to sometimes recreate something that felt good in a moment. And the worst thing a person can do, an actor can do, in my opinion, is try to recreate an emotion that worked in 1 second, and all of a sudden you're trying to make it happen. Then it's not real anymore. So I find myself doing that all the time. And that's part of the process, I guess, is you've got to, you go through your, whatever strategy you use to get the story into your head enough that you don't have to think about it anymore. And honestly, man, I don't know. I don't know what the trick is to break that rhythm. Usually it is reading with a different person. Like, I do most of my work by myself, and then I'll read with a reader, and I'll have someone, I just call it, hey, you help me just run some lines, kind of thing. And when I'm running lines with a person, they give me something different, which makes me react differently, right? And so I try to read with a couple different readers. So because we're all so different, and I do a lot of my okay, I'll expose myself a little bit more. I do a lot of my work where I will use my iPhone and I'll record the other person's lines and leave what I think a long enough beat in between the lines before I react again. So that way I never have to push start and stop, start and stop, start and stop. And this works particularly well for like my television show that I work on, because we do get a lot of lines and we do have limited amount of time. So that aspect, it's memorize, because we've already done a lot of work on character. So it helps me this way where I will do it, and sometimes it hurts me because I get caught in that rhythm of like and so it helps me memorize. But then when I'm on set, and I don't rehearse when I'm on set, because I've done all that memorization thing and I'm locked in my pattern. So what breaks me out of the pattern is the new read. And they'll always, all right, let's rehearse this. And I'll be, can we just kind of go through the marks? And I don't know, if we're going to rehearse it, can you just shoot it? Because something might happen, So I don't know, man. I hope I answered your question.
You gave a perfect setup for if we had a sponsor. The perfect sponsor to plug right now would be the Cold Read app. I don't know if you use the Cold Read app. You can pay a subscription. Yeah, you speak the dialogue in, and then you push reader or you push and it tags it, and you literally speak it into the thing, and you can leave the space for the beats that you're talking about. Yeah, and it'll play your voice back to you. And then it'll wait for you to say the last word of your line that'll cue it to speak again. Oh, that's so you cool. You can leave that space on the top. You can leave that space on the bottom. It's a pretty useful app. Sometimes I use it.
But what I do like to do is I do like to set up my space. Like I don't just walk around the house, or I don't just do that. Like, so right now I'm in my garage, which I've converted into my studio. And if you look over here, these are my garage doors, but I have these black things. So I pull those down and it becomes just a black wall. And right back here, that's my stage light. And so I'll turn on my stage light and I'll turn everything out and I'll set it up like my little thing. So I just pull down the things, turn on the light, set it up, and I will set up my camera. and I will read with myself, and I will work that way. I don't necessarily watch all of the takes, but just having myself push start and go to my mark and start the thing makes it feel like I'm in a work session, even if I'm in a work session just by myself. So I will do that a lot. And when there's a take where I'm like, oh man, that felt really good, I'll watch that and then be disappointed and start again. I still love to coach actors. And by coach, I mean run lines and, help them put together their audition and like that kind of thing. And a lot of them are younger actors. And I got to tell you, I noticed the difference between the work mentality from the younger generation than with what we had. Like when we came up, I felt like this is what I'm going to do. There's nothing going to fucking stop me. This is all I can obsess about. Let's go. What do I have to do? I'll do everything. Right. And I feel like a little bit of that is missing because I feel like a little bit of that is missing with the choices that the younger kids are making. Because everything's self-taped. So, I have 30 minutes. I'll just throw that on over here, as opposed to having to get up, like you were saying, get dressed, drive across the fucking city with no air conditioning or whatever, to go through that struggle of being like, oof, this is the job. It's not so much, in my opinion, like the more I'm watching it, it doesn't feel like it's a job then. It feels like, oh, fuck, I got to fit this in. I got to do this in between going to my job, going to do this, going to do that. Whereas, sure, we all had jobs and we all had our survival jobs. But if we got an audition, it was like, well, might have to quit that one because I've got to go do this audition if they don't understand. Right? Like, I don't feel like that priority, that fucking want is as prominent as it was when we were coming up.
Well, yeah, in the entire process, I mean, there was some sort of a little payoff from, I guess one of human beings' greatest fears in life is public speaking. And, driving to an office and giving an audition, in 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, you sat in traffic. It feels like you're working and you go there and you get 2 takes.
Yeah.
2 takes. Yeah. I remember I asked April Webster for 3rd take. It was an audition for Lost. Mm-hmm. And I knew I could get it. I just knew I could get it. And I said, April, can I just have one more? She goes, all right, Derek, you can have one more. But listen, that's it. One more. And in my experience, when someone asks for one more take, it usually doesn't work out. But go ahead.
Never, I don't want it. I was just kidding.
But I left there, feeling like I learned something, I did something, I worked.
It's funny that you bring that anecdote up because I think it's probably because I'm a product of the time that we've put in to get to this point, and how the industry's evolved so much, is that I still only give myself 3 takes when I do my self tapes at home. I don't do more than 3 takes because I try to do so much work in the beginning that I treat it like that audition. Will they give me 3 takes? Probably not. Just like what you said, can I ask for one? Sure, but it usually doesn't work. But I stick to that mentality. I'm like, and this is probably not the right way to look at it. But what I tell myself is, if I can't get it in 3 takes, I probably don't deserve the job.
Okay, so you're a director now. Congratulations. You direct now. The way it used to be, and I don't know if it's still the same, but it used to be, you started out acting, you're going to what's called a pre-read, and you go and you pre-read with the casting director, and then she decides whether or not you're a good fit, and then gives you a callback, sometimes same day, sometimes different day, and you go back, you read for the director or the producers, and then that's it. And usually that tape goes to the network or whomever, and they make the final decision. Is that kind of still the process?
Yes, I've been directing on television shows like Lucifer, which was on Netflix, also Fire Country, the new show that I'm on also on Netflix and
CBS.
So yeah, but it's different. Like at this point, what happens is casting will put out a breakdown. Casting will reach out to their list of people that are in their files for actors they believe, and then agents and managers will also submit who they think will do it, and the casting will screen it all. So they'll watch all the first tapes, and all the tapes will be watched, and then casting will screen those and be like, here's our takes out of the takes that were given to us. And then they'll send it over to the director and a couple of the producers. And then what I like to do, I watch every audition. I probably watch them too many times, each one, because I'm very specific when it comes to what I'm looking for from the character. And I watch each audition several times because no audition's perfect, right? That's one of the things that I really dislike about self-tapes. And we'll get into that later. Is that, that's all you're seeing. You're not seeing the human being. You're not seeing how they work. You're not seeing whether or not they can reach a certain thing. So that's one of the things that I dislike about it. But no, I'll watch it over and over and over again. And then so what I do as a director, and this is specifically for television, is I'll send to the network and studio and everyone else who has the real authority to make these decisions, my top 3 choices, and say these are my top 3 out of this group of actors. And then generally they will choose their favorite out of that top 3. And if there's somebody that I really love, I'm like, can you please just watch this one more time and see, or is there an in-person kind of thing that we could do with them? A lot of times it doesn't work out because television is a machine and it runs, and it's like when one director is shooting, another director is prepping. It's just like, it's so specific, so it's hard to get I don't know how they saw so many actors back in the day with a standard network television schedule, like how they were even able to be in the room anymore. My perspective, I can promise the actors, my fellow actors, that your tapes are being watched. They are being watched. People aren't just like zooming past them. If you get the audition and you put yourself on tape, it's 100% going to be watched. Whether it makes it to the next level, that's someone else's decision. But if you get the opportunity to submit something, then I suggest submit it at the best quality and the best performance, the best version of you and what you would do with that character for those 5 minutes that you can, because there will be eyes on it.
What makes a good audition?
That's a great question. And I don't know that I can answer that in a brief way. Sorry. It's funny when you get to this position. I wish every actor could shadow a casting director, and watch the amount of actors that come in there that are not ready to work, that are not prepared. It's funny how much happens, Yeah. And in that situation, that ratio is so high that it's easy to spot the one. When the one walks in and you go, oh, fuck, why did we waste our time with 10 other people who were just like reading lines or not making any choices? It's so evident when a person comes in. And what makes a good audition is a person who comes in and gets to work. They walk in, they do their hellos, or even on their tape, they're just focused. There's not a lot of extra energy going anywhere else but other than the work, and you can just tell. It's in their eyes, right. It's in their stillness, it's in their ability to not say the lines, but to say everything in between it, to get every line fucking wrong, but get every intention right. That's why when I do my auditions, I do pay attention to the text a lot. I want to make sure that I honor as much of the text as possible, but I don't mess myself up with it until I get the job. Oh, well, that's hard to say. I'm going to say something else that means something similar. So I don't put the extra added pressure of being word for word in my auditions, because a lot of times word for word is different from the way I do it. So I will, even to this day on set, Manny is the name of my character. Manny says X, Y, and Z. I'm like, nah, man, he's gonna say L, M, and N.
Yeah, there were a couple of things that you added to your Angelo tape that, and obviously whoever wants to will see it. I'm going to post the sites in the description. But yeah, you ad-libbed things, and what was amazing about what you added in, they were things that weren't unnecessary. They added color, like you love the dog, I love that dog, and I didn't even see that, honestly, as a writer. I didn't even, think about Angela's connection to that dog. But these handlers, that goes back to your knowledge, but these handlers, they take the dogs home with them, and,
Their family,
and, if you mess with a canine officer, it's like messing with a real officer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that like little things like that brought Angelo off the page, and we saw Kevin. I guess to wrap up the director's perspective question. So you're saying, have you ever cast, or not cast, but sent through a tape and said, this person is good, and it was a bad quality, bad sound? Does that matter?
It does matter. It really does matter. But it takes a certain level of, as directors have they have their own superpower, which makes them different from another director. And my superpower is my ability to think as an actor, to see as an actor, to look at performance, to know what that's like. So that's my superpower as a director. I'm not great technically. I'm not great with all this other stuff, but I can communicate with you, and you and I can create an amazing thing together because I'm one of you. So that's my superpower. So for me, there's a certain, I look past all of the taping and all that kind of stuff, and I really just sort of hone in. I get close to the screen, and I look in your eyes, and I'm watching you like I'm watching a fucking movie, right? I'm not sure that all directors do that. So I would say, yes, it matters. The best quality, so that they don't have to tune out the honking horns, and they don't have to tune out the shh of everything. I'm good with that. I'm okay with that because I'm a different kind of person. But the better the quality, the less of a chance for them to be distracted. Yes, that matters. Unless it's me, then I'm going to be like, I'm going to look straight at your performance, and I'm going to see through it the best I can.
Most embarrassing audition story that you can recall?
Oh man, there's so many. Remember, we're back in the old days, man, where we used to have to go into the room. No, honestly, the most embarrassing, I think, I mean, one is showing up to an audition for Libby Goldstein, who casts True Blood. At the time, she was casting, I think it was called Justified. Was that the Western? Anyway, something like that. And I showed up to the audition. I was so excited about it too. And I showed up to this audition. It was out at Warner Brothers Ranch, or out really far. And I showed up with a cowboy hat and a duster, a long, range coat, boots, everything. And I was in it, man. I was like, I went method. So I go into the holding area, I guess is what you call it. The young generation doesn't know this, but when we go audition, you'd go into a holding area, right, sign your name on a thing, and they'd come in and call your name, like they do at the doctor's office. And so I went in there and I signed my name and looked around. And as I look around, Libby Goldstein had just finished the previous actor. So she comes in to check the list to call the next person in. And she looks at me and she grabs my arm, pulls me outside of the door, and she goes, "You take that fucking shit off right now. You do not come in here and embarrass me. Take it off." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." Some of the some of the interesting auditions that I watch as a director, and I think more and more people are inviting this method because we're not in a room anymore, we're on tape, is if you're driving and your phone rings, add the sound of the phone in special effects afterwards, or it buzzes, add that phone sound. Or if you do it like in a way where it serves the purpose of whatever it is you're reading for and it doesn't distract. I do that shit all the time, man. Like I will add some sound effects if I need it, like a knock on the door or a cock of a gun or that kind of thing. It's becoming more and more invited. If you noticed in my tape, my submission to you, I gave you 2 takes.
Yep.
Right. And I only ever give 2 takes if the second tape is different enough.
And it
If
was.
there's only subtle differences, not even worth it for me. I'm going to
Sure.
send in one. But if there's like, okay, I can do this 2 different ways. And instead of calling the casting director, which in this case would have been you, the writer, casting director, whatever, instead of calling you being like, are you wanting this like sort of heated, like fucking, bigger sort of version at this ending part? Or do you want more of a, I'm communicating with my child, like, or, someone that I didn't ask those questions. So I gave you both. Right. But they were different enough where I was like, okay, here's 1 and 2. Now they know I can go here and I can go there. But if it was just like, oh, I said this word better or blah, 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 not even worth it. So don't submit unless there's a big enough difference between them.
That's a very good point. And then, to add to that, yes, I liked the first take more, but there are things, because it was different, that I would ask you to bring from the second take and marry them into the first take. A few things.
Because you just had that response, that's why I submit two different ones, because you would have said that was fucking great as a director. That was great. Now bring in take 2 into this part over here or whatever it is. Right.
Yeah.
Now that shows you, okay, he has.
You were a little harder in the second take, if I remember correctly, and a little more stern. And I think I would have added like just 50% of that to that part where you're telling her that, hey, you're going to get both of us killed, because he goes from, he's being protective in a way because that's his job as a, that's his job as a trainer, as a TO. He gets these people out there with this, idealized version of what police works like, and they don't know what reality is. And he has to tell them, hey, look, I get it. You got preconceived notions. Get it out of your head. This is what it is. That covers even more than everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again for stopping by.
Yeah, dude. And I look forward to, all the other guests that you're going to have on the show. Can't wait to see it.
Well, that'll do it for the first ever episode of The Audition is the Job. Huge thanks to Kevin Alejandro for sharing his knowledge with us. I don't know about you, but I found tremendous value in hearing his insights on the audition process from both the perspective of an actor and now that he's crossed over into directing. If you found value in this video, whether it be educational or entertainment, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget to come back for the next one.